Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat and its parameters showing on your screen now. The management of a Chinese firm, Zhongshan Fusheng Industrial Investment Company Limited, says its top officials were unlawfully detained and brutalized by the police during its contractual disagreement with the Ogun State government. The firm says the maltreatment compelled it to seek the seizure of Nigerian assets overseas. The media was informed with the news of the seizure of 3 of Nigeria's presidential jets as ordered by a French court. The Taraba State Governor, Agbu Kefas, has called on journalists in the country to maximize the use of digital technology to enhance the efficiency of their jobs in a fast-changing media landscape. Kefas made the call while declaring open the 2024 News Summit of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria in Jalingo, the state's capital. Represented by his deputy, Aminu Alkali, the governor noted that journalists need to embrace the opportunities presented by rapid technological advancements and social media to enhance efficiency in news and information dissemination. The federal government of Nigeria commissioned a 40 kWp solar hybrid mini-grid in Rafin Zurufi community, Gwagwalada Area Council, with the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The initiative, executed through the Rural Electrification Agency under the Rural Electrification Fund's Call 2 program, aims to provide clean, affordable, and reliable electricity to undeserved communities in Nigeria. The Minister of State for the Federal Capital Territory, Dr. Maria Mahmood, represented by Special Advisor Michael Bauer, underscored the project's potential to drive socio-economic transformation in Rafin Zurufi. Sokoto State Governor Ahmed Aliyu has called on communities in the Gudu local government area to assist the authorities with relevant information, especially intelligence gathering to defeat bandits terrorizing the area. Aliyu gave the charge while addressing the people of the area who came out to receive him on a thank-you visit to the area. He explained that securing the area is a collective responsibility, hence the need for all hands to be on deck. The Jigawa state government has called on the federal government to come to the aid of flood victims in the state, as no fewer than 3,834 persons have been displaced by the disaster. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Haruna Meriga, made the call in Duse, the state capital, while speaking to newsmen on the update of the flood which ravaged 12 local governments. He says the call was necessary in order to ameliorate the sufferings and hardship being experienced by the numerous communities in the 12 affected local government areas. Members, INEC accredited observer organizations have called on law enforcement agencies to refrain from harassing law-abiding Nigerians who carry out legitimate election duties. Edike Michael has the report.
The group, convened by Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, emphasized the importance of impartiality and neutrality from Independent National Electoral Commission. The convener and Director General of the Center, Nwambu Gabriel, urged security agencies to desist from unjust detaining of voters and public harassment throughout the electoral process.
But all the same, we also believe that notifying the police and other law enforcement agents to be up to their game is our duty as Nigerian citizens. So we are not foreseeing, but what we are saying is that based on the track record, based on the occurrences that have followed the pre-election observation we have done, we believe that Edo State is a place that is known as a flashpoint state.
He further called on judiciary to be guided by the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 and never to allow their antics of political interfere with their decisions.
There is no other way an election could be conducted as at today, bearing in mind the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. It is evident that the BVAS technology must be deployed in Edo State, without which there wouldn't be any election. In fact, voting without a BVAS authentication amounts to an offense.
The Edo gubernatorial election is scheduled for September 21st, 2024. Eddie Michael, Global TV News.
In line with the directive of the Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, the Edo State Universal Basic Education Board has recruited 5,500 teachers. The executive chairman of Edo Subeb, Ozavize Salami, in Benin, the state capital, says the recruitment is to fill teachers' gaps and boost teaching and learning in schools. She noted that the teachers who went through a rigorous recruitment process will fill identified gaps in primary and junior secondary schools across the state. Low voter turnout has characterized the ongoing local government election in Bauchi State. It was reported that voting commenced in most polling centers at about 11 a.m. due to the late arrival of election officials and materials. Voting commenced late at Junior Secondary School, Gwalameji, Kofa Sarkin, Gwalameji, Saudu Zunge Comprehensive Secondary School, and GSS Baba City polling units amid voter apathy. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered the deployment of tactical operatives and assets to ensure the prompt rescue of kidnapped medical students in Benue State. 20 medical students of the University of Maiduguri and Jos traveling to Enugu were kidnapped along the Otukpa-Enugu Road on Thursday. The students were traveling for the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Annual Convention in Enugu when they were abducted. Health commissioners from the 36 states of the country and the Mandate Secretary of Health of the Federal Capital Territory has commended the leadership of Nigeria's Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the light of the recent outbreaks of cholera, diphtheria, and monkeypox. They, however, called on for continued support to states. The health commissioners, under the auspices of the Nigerian Health Commissioners Forum, made this known in a communique issued at the end of their third quarterly meeting in Abuja. Following the notice of an impending protest by the aviation unions in the country, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has appealed to the workers for calm, promising that the federal government will find a lasting solution that balances both the fiscal needs of the government and the operational requirements of the aviation agencies. This is contained in a statement signed by the minister. Barely 24 hours ago, the union decried the continuous deduction of 50% of revenue of the federal government agencies managing and regulating the aviation industry. Senator Shehu Buba Umar of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has reacted to the withdrawal of Mujahideen Bauchi, his chieftaincy title, for allegedly insulting the state governor Bala Mohammed. In a letter addressed to the Emir of Bauchi, Senate Committee Chairman of National Security and Intelligence expressed his shock over the decision, noting that he adheres to the policy of constructive criticism, refraining from the use of insulting or abusive language. Umar says his response to Bala's despairing comments about President Bola Tinubu was aimed at defending the Nigerian leader against what he perceived as calculated attempts to tarnish his reputation and sow public discord that could threaten national security. Director General, National Youth Service Corps NYSC, Brigadier General Yushal Ahmed, has said that 54 corps members from University of Calabar, UNICOL, have been demobilized and will be prosecuted by the NYSC management. Ahmed, in a statement by Director Information and Public Relations of the service, Eddie Megwa Vaud, vowed that all illegally mobilized corps members from the university would be prosecuted. He said 19 among them who initially registered online for mobilization had been prevented from service, while 4 certificates of national service for other corporates were not produced by the scheme. Meanwhile, Director General, NYSC, Brigadier General Yusho Ahmed, said one of the graduates fraudulently mobilized for the scheme by University of Calabar Cross River State is a bread seller who did not attend the institution. This is coming on the back of 101 certificates that were recently voided by the scheme, making it 178. Ahmed commended the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Calabar, Professor Florence Obi, for her forthrightness to have earlier hinted the scheme on the mobilization of unqualified graduates from her institution. He insisted that the scheme will leave no stone unturned in sanitizing its mobilization process. The likelihood of falling ill or dying from diseases, that resist treatment has escalated in Africa, with children and other vulnerable groups being most at risk, according to a new report by the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The report reveals that Africa bears a significant burden of infectious diseases, accounting for approximately 95% of malaria deaths, 70% of people living with HIV, and 25% of TB deaths globally. You're watching News Cycle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When the news cycle returns, the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to suspend license of marketers, petrol stations selling to illegal peddlers. Please stay with us. The news continues shortly. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the news cycle. In business, former presidential candidate and economist Kingsley Moghalu has criticized Africa's emphasis on gross domestic product growth, describing it as a misguided worship that has hindered the continent's true development potential. In a statement via X, Moghalu argued that the focus on GDP alone has stunted Africa's progress, calling for a shift towards a more comprehensive approach to development. He emphasized the need for an endogenous mindset or worldview that prioritizes African development from within. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, has issued a stern warning to filling stations and fuel marketers against the unlawful sale of premium motor spirit, PMS, commonly known as petrol, to illegal roadside peddlers. In a post on X and through a directive issued after a closed-door stakeholders meeting with major retail outlet managers in the Federal Capital Territory, the NMDPRA warned that non-compliance would lead to suspension of licenses. The agency stated on X that filling stations must refrain from supplying fuel to illegal peddlers, warning that failure to comply will result in the suspension of their retail licenses. The Nigerian stock markets, all-share index and market capitalization fell by 1.51% this week, closing at 97,100.31 points and 55.132 trillion naira, respectively, as investors weighed mixed corporate earnings, dividend announcements, and slight dip in inflation. This downturn occurred as Nigeria's headline inflation rate fell for the first time since December 2022, easing to 33.40% in July from 34.19% in June. The Federation Accounts Allocation Committee has distributed a total of 1.358 trillion naira among the federal government, state and local government councils for the month of July. This announcement was made in a communique following the FAC meeting held in August in Abuja. The total distributable funds of 1.358 trillion includes statutory revenue amounting to 161.593 billion naira. A manufacturing company, D7G Nigeria, says its partnership with the Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria has created jobs for 2,000 civilians and 500 military personnel who are retired. Speaking at an event in Abuja, the Chief Executive Officer of D7G, Osman Shena, disclosed that D7G is planning with DICON the transfer of advanced military technology to Nigeria. Shena listed key performance indicators of the company, including construction of a military jetty base in Lagos for the berthing of vessels, with an additional area for the production, assembly and storage of defense equipment, covering a lead area of 160,000 square meters. On the foreign scene, Joe Biden says he is optimistic that a Gaza ceasefire deal can be reached, amid concerns that Iran may launch an attack on Israel for the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Biden says no one in the region should take actions to undermine this process. Hamas has expressed skepticism about the chances of a deal, and without mentioning the possibility of a ceasefire, Israel says it appreciates the efforts of the U.S. and the mediators to dissuade Hamas from its refusal to a hostage release deal. Doctors in India have begun a national strike, escalating the protest against the rape and murder of a female colleague in the West Bengal city of Kolkata. The Indian Medical Association, the country's largest grouping of doctors, says all non-essential hospital services will be shut down across the country. The IMA described last week's killing as a crime of barbaric scale due to the lack of safe spaces for women, and asked for the country's support in its struggle for justice. In sports, Nigeria's representatives in this year's Confederation African Football Champions Club competitions, Enugu Rangers, Remo Stars, Eyimba, and El Kanemi Warriors will get $50,000 each as participation fees in the preliminary stages of the Champions League and Confederation Cup. Nigerian champions Enugu Rangers and runners-up Remo Stars are representing the country in the Champions League, while Eyimba, who finished third in the MPFL, and President Federation Cup winners El Kanemi Warriors are competing in the Confederation Cup. The board of the Nigeria Premier Football League has directed all the clubs in the country's top flights to start operating functional websites within the next month. This was part of the decisions reached at a one-day summit for club media directors, which was held in Makurdi, Benue State. According to the league body, the move is to support social media platforms to drive engagement and secure revenue streams from such platforms. And that's it on the news cycle, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.